Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. I like scary movies.
Want some candy?
Sounds way too stressful. Anyway, all right, you ready? All right. What's up, candy killers? Welcome back to another episode of Monster Candy Podcast with the gruesome twosome, Oobliette Sparks from Tsunami Bomb, and myself, Screamin E from the Memphis Murder Men. And Oobliette, the time is here. Today is the day that nobody's been waiting for, but Oobliette and myself have been preparing for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the day where we discuss the infamous American Horror Story Season 7 Cult in the infamous episode. But we'll get into that in a little bit. First, it's time for some horror news. Yeah, buddy. Horror news. All right. Me and Oobliette might have the same horror news, so I'll let her go first.
So the teaser trailer was just released for Godzilla -1.
It is that one,
and
Yeah.
they redesigned his things on his back.
Mm-hmm.
And this one looks good. It looks very Japanese, and it looks like it might just I know it's just a teaser, but it didn't make it seem human drama forward. It made it seem like destruction Godzilla forward. So I like that.
I saw that, and I figured we would both have this as one thing, so I had a backup. But yeah, I saw it. I was like, "Oh fuck yeah!" And I watched the trailer, and I'm like, "Oh, this looks so good."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess
as a kaiju lover, I'm
Mhm.
excited for this.
yes, you get to see Dad on screen.
I do.
You do. Yeah, so I guess it'll be dropping in Japan November 3rd, but we're not in Japan, so we're going to have to wait till December 1st to see this bad boy. And yeah,
Unless it falls in our lap before then.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's why I like you, Oobliette. You're always thinking ahead to things that might or might not happen. We don't know.
Or we could time travel and just come
Yes.
back and talk about it,
You could. Yeah,
would be
but I guess like the whole storyline and everything makes it sound like it's going to be pretty true to the original film, with it being dark and all right, he's just fucking shit up, and it's going to be like a scary movie aside from the ones we've been getting, which haven't been bad. They've been fun, but this, from what it says,
they're very modernized.
Yeah. So I'm excited about
and
that.
feelings and stuff.
Blech.
know.
Blech.
Have to make you like people before you kill them. Yeah, this one, I know I saw everyone was interested in if it was a continuation from any of the others, and they flat out were like, no, it's not, which is great.
Yes. Yeah, I wish
We're fine with that.
we are fine with that. I wish more films would, at least more monster movies, especially King Kong, would do things like that. I want more one-off ones. I don't want a continuation, because it's the earth is only so big, everybody.
Right.
It's
Well, and with these kind of creatures, you don't necessarily, they're eternal in my mind. So
right.
I don't need a linear story. I like kind of all these tales, which to me is more representative of that kind of monster anyway. Just like when you hear tales of sea monsters or whatever else, it's never a continuous story. You like the lore, you like each individual story. If you try to chain them together, then you're going to learn about the dumb stuff, like Godzilla has to clean his house or whatever. I don't need that. I don't need to know what he's doing on his downtime.
Yeah.
I just need to know the cool stories.
This isn't an episode of Perfect Strangers. Like we don't need any of that. So I agree.
We don't need to journey to the middle of the earth
Mm-mm.
to see where the monsters once were.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we don't.
We're fine without that. Really.
This is true. Yeah. And again,
I don't need to know where they come from ever, actually.
Yeah. I just want to see monsters being monsters.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
all we really need.
Stop humanizing our monsters.
Yeah. And seriously, it's like, and they always do like the weird time jump 8 years later because, an entire city is rebuilt to perfection within 8 years. You're like, okay. And then,
it's beautiful.
yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah. And then it just gets fucked up again.
That's what we need. I need to get Dom to design us a shirt that has a cool drawing that just says "Stop humanizing our monsters."
There you go. Timestamp.
It's a real problem, folks.
I agree. And I am really excited for this. So, finally. Yeah. You got anything else?
Just a small little one that I got a glimpse of today. Apparently there's some hype around it, but there is a video game coming out called My Friendly Neighborhood that is basically kind of like a dark take on Sesame Street.
Okay.
But they're much more like puppety looking than like the Henson
people
like,
in
Sesame Street puppets. But they just released like the first 15 minutes of gameplay, and it looks fucking terrifying. They're basically calling it Sesame Street meets Resident Evil.
Okay.
Coming out July 20th. I don't know. It looks fun. I am such a fucking big baby. I love watching people play scary games like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't play them. First off, the first person in those games, because it's so like they always make you move slower than you should. It just like bothers the shit out of me.
Right.
But second, I just freak myself out, and like the second shit gets weird, I'm like, nope, and turn it off. So I'm gonna try to convince like my husband or someone else to play this so I can watch it. Oh, we have some shows coming up. Maybe I'll get a little portable playing device and make Dom do it.
There you go.
Funny story, when the first Resident Evil, or maybe it was the second one, came out, we had like a really shitty, like tiny TV VCR combo mounted to the like ceiling of our van. And we actually had these like fans that we did mounted to because we had no AC that would spray us and the TV with water and
I love
fan
that.
us. It was
great.
Yeah, we were traveling through the South in July in Texas. It was really smart.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember it was like an overnight drive, and Dom started playing Resident Evil, and it was like the part in the very beginning where the zombie dogs like jump through a window or something and pop out at you, but it was the first one.
Right.
And like we all got spooked. And it's so funny because they remastered that game recently, and I was like, I'll fucking play it. I know what happens. And even the remastered version that makes it look better, it still looks so fucking shitty that I was like,
oh yeah.
How the fuck did these pixels scare the shit out of us? But it's funny how your eyes worked back then. Like back then that you were so used to that that it looked, realistic.
New
like
technology.
I remember Mario 3
shit.
coming out, and I was like, yeah, like when Mario 3 came out, that was it. We were like, oh my God, video games can never look better than this. And obviously they look better and better, but it was funny because like I remember thinking of that game in my mind, and that I would see like real people and real zombie dogs and then seeing that again. So then of course I went online and looked up like a video of it, of the original, and I was just like, what the fuck? Each one are like 10 pixels. Like,
yeah, you're like, oh,
this isn't scary.
Like it hurts my eyes. That was one of the only games I had for the PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after I sold it for rent money, like to GameStop or whatever, one of those game exchange things, I was like, here's my PlayStation.
Yeah.
Nah.
I know. I was thinking about that. Kids will never know. Like, I mean, I guess pawn shops are still around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Rent coming up and like gathering up like every video game I didn't want anymore, like a fucking skateboard I hadn't used in years or whatever, and just like heading down wherever to sell stuff.
Yep.
It was totally normal.
Here's
It's
some
just like
some CDs and
CDs.
whatever.
Yeah.
$3. All right, I'm $3 closer to
VHS.
fucking rent. Yep, anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh
many
man.
VHSs, plates, just whatever you have in your house.
Whatever
You
wasn't
start
nailed
grabbing
down.
stuff. Yeah.
Didn't even matter
Yeah.
if you liked it. You're like, oh, I really like this, but I don't want to be homeless. So
Yeah. Exactly.
see you later.
You're like, I'll buy it back later.
Uh-huh.
You
Never
never
do.
do.
No.
Never do.
I've sold so many CDs back to those places where I'm like, yeah, I get them. Nope, gone forever.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Done.
Rah,
Oh, the
kids.
good old days, huh?
Well, that should be cool. Yeah, I can imagine what it was like in your van. We had a van that finally bit the dust a few years ago, but when we first got it, it was actually my guitar player's family, like his mom and dad had it, and they were going to get rid of it.
Cool.
Yeah, it was like a big 86.
Ours was a church van.
Yeah, it was a GMC, I forget,
Mm-hmm.
a rally something. Anyway, it was great when we got it. We took one of the seats out, for more room in the back. But eventually, like, we used that thing up. So the windows stopped working. So the windows didn't go down.
Oh, yeah.
And all it has is those like little slat windows in the back that you just kind of pop open.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So that wasn't bad until the little levers on the fucking, for the heat and the AC that you slide back and forth. Well, they broke off.
Oh, yeah.
So we couldn't even use those. Then the AC went, and it's like, oh, it was so hot. We were driving down to LA. I mean, we went to Vegas and everything in it, but one of the times, LA going, on the 5 down through fucking Kalinga and over the Grapevine and all that. It was so hot.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like so hot, and none of the windows worked, and we had to stop and get a fucking styrofoam cooler, dumped a bunch of ice in there, got plastic baggies, filled it up with ice so we could like put the baggies on us just to get down to LA because it was just so hot. Because we'd leave in the morning. We'd leave like 5-6 a.m. out of the Bay Area, get out. Yeah,
We drove to Southern California, then to Texas and back with no AC, and it had those like vinyl seats on it that were ripped up and would cut into you while they were hot. But we had these 2 fans we mounted that would spit water, kind of like one of those rotary sprinklers, like
yeah.
And they moved like Gabe said, they moved like crackheads. So that was Basil and Frazzle.
Yeah.
And Basil was a real dick, like. That fucker would just like spray you right in the eye, and like he just sucked. But then we had a couple of handheld spray fans too. But I swear, like when it's so fucking hot, all that does is make you wet and hot.
Yeah.
And the fans just fan hot air.
Oh yeah.
And I would sleep up at the top in the loft we built in the back, which was like the hottest. So
just that get all that raising.
But we survived.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I don't know if
we lost a lot of weight too.
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't know if I've ever. I might have talked about this a long time ago on here, but we were in New York. Forget what show we were playing or what the club was, but we were playing the Rumblers car show. So we get there, and it's like middle of the summer. It might have even been August, but it was fucking hot in New York City. Or Brooklyn or wherever the fuck the club was.
Oh yeah. You got the asphalt. It gets hot as shit.
Oh yeah. So we get there.
Like the way the sun hits there.
Yep. Load all the shit in. Getting ready to like sound. I think we did sound check. Whatever. Cops come. Shut the whole thing down. I don't know what the fuck happened. I can't really remember. But there's a bunch of bike clubs. Oh, that's what it was. There were some bike clubs I think had some sort of issue. And then the cops arrested one and then just shut everything down. So like we were trying to figure out there, people who set up the show was trying to figure out where we need, if we can move it somewhere to play, like no bands played yet, like nothing even happened. It was just starting to get going. But so anyway, we had like hours in between because we had to load all the shit back out. And so we had to sit around for like 4 hours. So my one guitar player was in the band at the time was like, well, I'm just going to take a nap in the van. And this is, we rented a van. I'm like, all right, cool. And, because we're chilling, got the AC on, he's sleeping. We get out, I take the keys and lock the van. So like 40 minutes go by and it's so fucking hot. He's like blowing up my phone. Dude, what the fuck? Come back or I can't get out of the fucking van. Like,
oh shit.
Because I had the keys. So he woke up just completely soaked and he couldn't unlock the door from the inside because I locked it. So like he was trying to open it, like it would unlock, but it would lock as soon as he tried to open the thing and he couldn't get out and was just like freaking the fuck out. There's nothing
and getting
funnier.
hotter because he's freaking out.
Oh yeah. There was nothing funnier in my life when we got back to the van and he's just, what the fuck, dude? And we're just cracking up. He's like, it's not fucking funny. I could have fucking died in there. He's just going off because waking up, like that and not being able to get out and freaking out was hilarious. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Horror news from the road, everybody.
Yes. Heat happens.
Oh, he was so mad.
And people with outdoor venues, think about some shade, please.
Yes. Yeah, outdoor venues, I'm not a fan of. Outdoor
We
playing.
almost
outdoor
died
period.
at that last Warped Tour.
That
the
looked
one
hot.
at Shoreline or whatever.
Yeah.
No, so we played, under the dome things or whatever. And they split the stage. So, it's like 2 stages back and forth.
Right.
And we're watching the other bands and running around doing stuff backstage, whatever. And then at one point we were watching one of the bands and like the sun was hitting and we're like, oh man, in like 2 hours, it's going to be fucking hot as shit when the sun's going down.
Oh yeah.
And then we all get quiet and we're like, we're playing in exactly 2 hours.
Right.
And we're like, well, the sets are short. It's fine because the sets at Warped are super short. But I swear to fucking God, we get one song in and that sun hits to where it starts reflecting off of metal just right in our faces.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the pictures, you can see like we're trying to have fun, but there's like one picture of Kate and I sitting on an amp singing a song together, which was one of the last songs. Like
just
I got up there because and like with the autoimmune thing I have, it's like heat intolerance is one of the main things, which is awesome to find out. Well, it made me not happy, but I was glad because there were so many times because I lived hot places where sometimes like the next day I would just sleep and couldn't get up.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, heat sickness. That's what I thought it was. Turns out like I actually have legitimate intolerance that like fucks up my immune system. But I got up on an amp because I'm like, and just to sit down and sing because I started seeing spots and I'm like, this is just like fucked. And I'm just like chugging water in between singing. She got there with me, but you can see pictures. We're both there, like water standing to us on the amp, like, and you can see it in our eyes. Like we're smiling, but we're like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Never wanted a set to be over so much more in my life.
Oh yeah.
And then like we got off stage and every other band that had played that stage and watched our show was like, man, you guys played at the worst time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
We fucking know. We know.
Yeah. We played this one card show down in LA, like around Rosemead, I think, in this big open, it was like a baseball field, so you got all these cars, motorcycle clubs, got this whole thing going on. And the stage was, just like a plywood stage right there, but with no covering, just the stage. LA area in like July.
Yeah.
Like hot is so hot. Like the bottom of my shoes were like melting.
Sticky, like tacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was so hot. And I'm like, like my feet were so hot. I was like, Jesus Christ, get me the fuck out of here. We were like, dude, it's so fucking hot. Let's just fucking barrel through these songs because it's hot. So, yeah.
Yeah, the pair of Converse that I was wearing at that show, if you look at the tread, there's like smooth parts on like the outside pad of my feet that I put the most pressure on. And it was because that fucking ground was
Oh,
that
yeah.
hot and I was
Yep.
putting so much pressure that it
Dude.
slid. Yeah, it's brutal. And I mean, but fuck, I mean the fans are dealing with it too, so it's like you can't be an asshole about it. You just have to
No.
you just have to do it. But at the same time, I'm just like, could we get some industrial fans blowing on everyone or something? Like, I know you guys are charging a fucking lot for these Warped Tour tickets. Like, get some fucking fans.
All right.
Something. Anything. Get fake snow.
If only.
Snow blower.
If only.
For Christ's sakes.
Last story about band shit, because I'm sure everyone's probably like, all right, we get it. It's hot when you play places. Yeah. But
next episode, we'll talk about being cold.
Yeah. So we played I don't know if you guys ever played the Exit in Fresno when it was around.
I don't know.
Okay. So we played there. We did like a little run with Tiger Army back in the day. And we played there. And okay. Anyone who's not ever been to Fresno, it's yeah, it's the worst.
It's awful.
It's awful.
Fresno and Bakersfield, like,
yeah,
I don't know why they exist.
Yeah, there's some good people.
Still exist.
There's some
in
good
their
people there.
Forms.
Yeah, some good people there.
But I just don't understand how they haven't evolved.
Yeah,
what they've always been.
So we get there. It's already fucking hot. But luckily, this is when the van still worked. So we get there, load our shit in, do the sound check, do everything, hanging out, and the AC's on. So Nick and Jeff and the band get there, Tiger Army, and we're hanging out, talking to them a little bit, and they go in because they were like a little bit late, so they got in, started doing all their shit. Well, once like doors started opening, like right before, we got word that there's not going to be any air conditioning on in this venue. Like and Nick,
they didn't play, did they?
They did play. Nick 13.
Okay, I was gonna say because he's a little bit of a prima donna.
Yeah, he is notorious for like no air conditioning, which I get it as a vocalist. Like we all know, like air conditioning can fuck you up, so he doesn't travel with any air conditioning on.
He didn't want it on.
Yes. So he was like, no air conditioning. We're like,
dick.
We're like, oh fuck, and it's hot. And the venue was probably like a 500 person venue, like a medium-sized club in Fresno in the summer, packed. Okay, so packed that
they could have turned the air conditioning off before Tiger Army started playing.
There's many things they could do. So you got fans blowing hot air. But anyway, we're playing like halfway through the set because it's so hot. Our guitar player's amp blows. Like his tubes were just like, nope. It's too fucking hot. And it was like, dude, everyone was just like, what the fuck? It's so hot. I'm like,
did he have like a vintage amp?
Yeah, it was just like a Marshall tube amp, But yeah, we were just like, fuck it. So we just, he just pretended to play. But yeah, it got so hot that it just fried his amp. It was such a mess. So fucking hot. But anyway, do you have another story before I get on to my horror news, Oobliette?
I just wonder if Nick has toned down his shit.
I don't think so. But
I don't either. I have a bunch of like old school pictures of him, like photos back when you would get them developed.
Mm-hmm. We're so old.
Yeah. Because I was asked to interview him for a music magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew each other
right
through AFI and just not well, but acquaintances.
Right.
And so when I was taking pictures of him, because they wanted me to take the picture of him for it too, he was just being like all tough. This was like right before Never Die came out.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was some hype building up with them. I think they'd only ever had an EP, but like Black Sails had come out and he had sung on a couple of songs and like people just knew who he was. So
Right.
anyways, but I remember he like leaned up against the wall with like one leg up and was like, super broody. And so I just started cracking like really, really inappropriate jokes to make him laugh. And he's laughing and holding his hand over his eyes, thinking that's gonna like half of his face, thinking that would block the camera. So I like ran over to get his face laughing. So I still have all these photos, but it was funny because like afterwards he's like, hey, it's okay. Like I know you were trying to make me laugh and that's cool and everything. And like, you and I could keep these photos, but I just would really appreciate if, the photos you put in the magazine, like there can be no teeth, no smile. So I'm going to need to see them before, like to help you pick which one goes in.
Yeah.
So of course I picked one where he's covering half of his face and laughing hysterically and his tongue is partially out. But I think we had only talked one more time after that. He was not very polite.
Yeah, sounds about right. But what's weird is we played with them in like 2015 at the Regency in San Francisco, and I don't remember the air conditioning not being on. So I don't know.
I bet he got over that.
Maybe, but I guess it was kind of in early May, so it probably wasn't that hot outside in San Francisco. But yeah, that's
true.
That story definitely sounds like him.
It's just funny because like he's super like dorky and funny as a normal person, and the Tiger Army persona is like totally different. But I mean, hey, that's bands, that's actors, that's everything. Me on stage
is what it is.
Me in real life, completely. I mean, it is. It's an extension.
Totally. All right.
I just can't take myself that seriously. So
yeah, no. I want to have a good time all the time.
I want all the blemishes and warts right in front of everybody. Just
fuck yeah.
Stare at them.
No surprises. All right. So my one real quick thing. Okay, the mean one is finally gonna hit video on demand.
Oh.
October 3rd. The movie that like was
late.
Right. The movie that was fucking in theaters.
That long?
I don't know.
It should have gone on demand like 3 weeks after the few theaters it was in stopped showing it.
For real. I saw that. I was like, what? I thought there might be like a sequel to it or something. I was like, oh no.
They recut it?
No, just going to get released for more people to see.
Oh, and in that vein, did you watch the trailer or whatever for that new Cinderella one done by the Winnie the Pooh people?
No, I haven't yet.
I guess they released something for it. I kept hearing other things they were doing that were not Cinderella, but I guess the next one is Cinderella.
Well,
which,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, whatever.
They're gonna have to get more porny with that one, though.
They should at least, right?
Because they should have with Winnie the Pooh. When Christopher Robin was chained up being a little bitch, that scene should have gone a completely different way.
Yeah, there should have been.
Look, I'm just telling the truth. Everyone. Well, we didn't all see it, but for those of us who saw it, knew where that should have gone. And I'm not saying we all wanted to see that happen, but that's where it should have gone.
Yeah, just saying it was a missed opportunity, like
completely.
So.
But even for like the girls not to be there and Winnie the Pooh to step in, but
something.
He was such a sniveling little bitch. I just don't know how that didn't happen.
So yeah, if anyone didn't see the mean one or couldn't find it, like I couldn't even stream it anywhere
New York City was the closest place I could have gone. So
yeah, I was like, what the fuck? So October 3rd, have at it. All right. Anything else, Oobliette?
No.
All right. Me either. That's been Oh boy. All right. Let's get into it. We've been sitting on this one. I actually talked to Dom today when I was with him and told him we were doing this. He was like, oh, I still haven't watched it yet. And we started discussing why. And I was like, yeah, you're right. and he's like, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I remember when we talked about it on the episode. He's like, I'm going to go home and start watching. I was like, okay.
I mean, I've been talking about this for too long, honestly. So this was actually the first full season I watched. When American Horror Story first came out, in the first season's Murder House, right? Something House. Murder
Maybe.
House, I think.
A haunted house of sorts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Murder House. Anyways, I watched maybe the first 2 or 3 and I just lost interest. It's funny now because a lot of people say that's the best one, but it just didn't really do it for me.
It took me at least 3 to get into it. Like, okay. And then one of the biggest things that kept my attention was the hot redheaded like maid or whatever she was. And I was like, oh yeah, hey. And then it got a little better.
It was weird. I remember thinking it was interesting. I even remember getting a little freaked out because I watched it at home alone, but I think I just kind of forgot about it. So the reason I watched this one, I mean, I'd heard about it since then. I knew when Coven fucking came out, every person who loved Stevie Nicks and all that shit was obsessed with it. And every fucking woman that was dressed in khaki a week before all of a sudden was wearing, you know, black dresses and, you know, playing the whole Stevie Nicks thing. And they just couldn't stop talking about Coven. So because of that, I was like, fuck American Horror Story. I'm not revisiting it because this is just, I can't. And I saw a couple of the previews with, I forget the blonde actress that was in a lot of those. She actually dated the guy who played Evan Peters, who plays Kai.
Oh, right.
Which is why I think she's not in that season because they had broken up. Emma Roberts. But yeah, I'd seen some previews with her. She sounded like a super Valley girl. It just seemed weird and reminded me of high school when The Craft came out. And I was like, I'm not into watching this.
Yeah.
But fast forward a couple years later, and the ad campaign for Cult is what made me watch it because people were freaking out because all the ads had either like head or cheek or tongue holes on it, and people were getting mad because I guess enough people have trypophobia, which is the fear of holes, that they were like, American Horror Story is triggering us, which is fucking crazy because so many things have holes in them that it's just But I know this was trying to trigger that. So because of that and a couple things I saw that it was going to kind of be about the political situation, I was like, fuck it, I'll check it out. And it was the first one I watched from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And it's American Horror Story is so weird because it's one of those things that, you know, a synopsis is going to have to be really kind of simple because they get different directors for everyone. The story kind of changes, and it's like a lot of the seasons I do feel like, because now I've gone back and watched them all, except for Murder House, funny enough. A lot of them, you know, you talk about, it's just like they're throwing things at the wall, just seeing what will stick or doing whatever. And this one definitely had just like a lot of stuff. I remember you even texted me being like, wait, so-and-so, they're not alive. Like, what's going on here? And I'm like, just keep fucking watching. But I have to say, I have never actually been more enraged with a TV show ever as I was with this one when I watched it. And the weirdest part about it, and I watched it right when it came out, so it was right coming off of Trump getting elected and this kind of stuff really taking place. Rewatching it didn't piss me off, and I actually enjoyed it more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have like I won't even call it a love-hate relationship with American Horror Story. It's almost like a dislike-hate relationship with it.
Yeah, same.
And I watched the first 2 seasons. And then skip some. I watched what do you call it? The carnival one or a sideshow. Was that what it was called?
Yeah. Finn
And
Whitrock and that made
yeah.
it worthwhile.
Yeah. And I had watched the Roanoke one and
That was like snooze fest.
yeah, the Coven one, but
I
not
liked it okay.
yeah.
When I went back, I liked it okay. And Apocalypse, which tied into that, was okay too.
Then I stopped watching because I mean most of these, except for the first two, I didn't watch voluntarily because that's when it was new. I was like, oh okay, and the first one was like, I was like, you know, they all suffer from the same thing, and we'll get into that.
You might like Apocalypse. It goes after the
know.
Coven people.
I can't do it anymore. This is my last hurrah with American Horror Story.
There's a black and white one about aliens that takes place in the 50s. That's only a half season that you'd probably like.
Ugh. Can't.
The season before the last one, they did a split.
Mm-hmm.
So like half of it is one story, the other half is another, but the second half is like a total black and white, just aliens.
I don't want to give
sort
them
of
any
thing that's
more
fun and
time.
campy.
Yeah, but
You might like it.
when you
It
said
was surprising to me.
when you said you wanted to do this, I'm like, all right, I'm down for the good of the show and because Oobliette rules. I'm like, okay.
And I'll do it 2 years later.
Yeah, right. I'm going to start off with the things I liked about it because we're going to get to the things that drove you insane.
Yeah.
All right. First thing I liked about it was Rick Springfield, which took a while to get to, but I'm like, wait, is that Rick Springfield? And he plays like a priest or a guru or whatever. I'm like, what the wait, is that Google it? Yep, Rick Springfield. I'm like, oh my God. All right, this is awesome. And Rick Springfield's funny. So I was stoked on that. The second one was
He's
Zach,
the pastor in my favorite episode.
Yeah. Zach Ward pops up and I'm like, fuck yeah. So that was cool. And then this is almost where all the good stuff ends, right? The first 5 episodes, because I stayed away from it because it was the fucking election. And I'm like, oh my God, people are so like fucking stupid over this election. Like I see it in real time. I don't want to see it as entertainment.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just losing their fucking mind and everyone's stupid. But
well, especially you're in like the Bay Area too.
Oh yeah. So I see it like nonstop. But as I was watching it, I'm like, this totally threw like a curveball at me because it had a very similar vibe to The Hunt, where it's pretty much
totally
pointing
neutral.
out, it's like, okay, here's the hypocrisy of everybody and, the ridiculousness of both sides and how they think they're so different, but really they're exactly the same, just on different ends of the spectrum or whatever. I'm like, fuck yeah, okay, I'm getting into it. And then it does what American Horror Story always does, where it's like, oh, that coherent storyline we were doing? Well, let's just not worry about that anymore. And let's take a fucking left turn and 4 rights and 11 more lefts. And let's add a bunch of shit in there that totally negates any goodness that was before it. And I'm like, no. And that's why I fucking hate American Horror Story, because they always start off with something good. And Dawn was talking about it today. He was like, dude, I talked about it when we did an episode on one of the other seasons. He's like, it's like they have a writer where there's like one good writer in there that has like a good idea and a good storyline, and then a bunch of other people in there that are like, okay, now we're going to add this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And he was like, and that one good writer just has like a single tear running down their face, being like, you just destroyed everything that was good about this. with all your shit. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
holds true. So, but yeah. And now enter the episode. Oobliette, have at it.
Oh, you want me to talk about the episode
Oh, yeah.
before the likes and dislikes?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, I'm just giving you the floor so you can lead us into.
So the first time I watched it, I was okay with the amount of goriness, but at the same time, like, this is a soap opera. But then, so I'll go ahead and lead into the episode. Rick Springfield shows up.
Right.
And just to be clear, in case you haven't seen this season basically comes after Trump gets elected and how it affects people who thought it would never happen, people who thought it would, everything else, and it focuses on Evan Peters' character, this kid Kai, who basically tries to like take from like a Jim Jones, Charles Manson kind of thing.
Right. Super interesting. So you're like, all right, because he's just creating chaos, and you're like, because he hates everything, and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, bring it all down. But
no, totally. And I do have to say, his acting is phenomenal. If I could say anything about after watching this and going back and watching all the American Horror Stories, if there was any standout, Evan, he's really great at his characters and being like a total fucking creep.
Totally.
In this one in particular, he did a great job. There were definitely some episodes we didn't need, like ones with Jim Jones and Charles Manson, I think. Charles Manson for sure. And side stories, like all of them that you're like, whatever. Like the fucking woman who killed Andy Warhol.
Lena Dunham. Oh my God.
Yeah, Lena Dunham. Please don't put her on anything ever again.
Anything ever.
Yeah. That whole side story just was, but how do I explain this episode to make a long story short? So Kai ends up kind of being a cult leader after getting some people to murder other people, and they're all into him. Then he like gets a bunch of Proud Boys and starts gaining an ego over it. And then an episode starts after the Proud Boys scenario, everything else, and you're like, what's going on? And it's basically his sister telling a story about how it all started.
Yeah.
And they would get drunk and go in like these dark web chat rooms and be talking about, how women who have abortions should be killed, basically like just trolling.
Yeah. They're like trolling people on 4chan.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden this guy's like, here's my address, like come to my house or some shit. And they're like, okay. And they show up and it's fucking Rick Springfield, which is awesome. And he's this like demented priest.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time when I'm watching this that I'm like, fuck yeah, this is going somewhere I want to see.
Right.
It was a little too Saul for me, but it was a step up from everything else that had been going on.
Right.
And basically like each room, he's kind of like preaching about a sin or like what these people are doing. And he's torturing someone who had been, doing something bad, like having an abortion, doing drugs, whatever. And I'm actually thinking that Kai is going to like get in on this and like talk his sister into it or something else. But it turns out they save all the people and then basically like kill or torture Rick Springfield. They put him in that machine, that seat, right?
Yeah.
Leave him there.
Yeah.
No, they kill him. They impale him, right?
They kill him, yeah.
Yeah. And then of course before are like, you think she was having an abortion? She was really going to the clinic for birth control or something. Like she wasn't even pregnant. And like this guy, you think he's on drugs. He was actually going to the methadone clinic because he's been off them. It was weird because like Kai seemed to be this alt-right crazy person, and that got very
right.
I don't know. It was weird. But anyways, I liked it. The gore was there, whatever. Then all of a sudden you're in present time. And Kai, who is getting people to love him way too much, decides that he needs to have like because he's a god now or whatever, he needs to have like a baby that's a god. So
an ultimate baby
decides if he fucks this like gay cop that's part of his cult, in the ass. Well, this guy is fucking his sister, that him and his sister will create the ultimate messiah.
Yeah.
And this is like probably the first time in my life that I was watching something on TV and actually like yelled out loud, like, are you fucking kidding me? And I wanted to turn it off so bad, but yet they fucking got me and I finished the season. But like, it was funny because I was just sitting there finishing it, like pissed off because this
Yeah.
isn't even the end of the episode. A bunch of other shit happens afterwards.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, can I be the only one? And then I went on Facebook, you know, as we do, 'cause social media, and I saw like a string of posts being like, what the fuck? I'm done. Like, I'm never watching this again.
that GIF that's going around now from, I forget what TV show it is. I've never watched it, but it's a guy going, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" Or like, "You think so? You
Oh,
really
that's the
think so?"
funniest show I've ever seen.
Yeah, I have not watched it, but that guy's funny. But yeah, that would be
should.
that's like the perfect reaction because it's like,
Mhm.
all right, the twists and turns and all that side bullshit that American Horror Story always does happened, and I expected it, and I was like, okay, but the weird sexual nonsense that usually, like the forced sexual behavior that's in every single one of them, hadn't really happened a whole lot until that episode, or until that like string of episodes, that like those 2 or 3 episodes. And then, of course I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, did that really need to be in here? Or could you figure out like a much better way to get this point across? But again, it's American Horror Story. So I'm like, well, no, they couldn't, because this is what they always do. They just force some, like, we want to be shocking, so we're going to force something weird into it. I'm like, well, here we go. And this is why. And then it just gets even more weird. And it's like, ends up being, Evan Peters or whatever his name is versus the elder leader of the women's movement thing, the lady that killed fucking, or Lena Dunham when she's older, which is that older lady that's always in them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, here we go. Like, what?
I know, but you're gonna think I'm crazy. Rewatching it, I did not get, like, it felt like a much more complete story. Maybe it was because I knew what was coming, but also, well, and because I've read a couple more cult books since then, and that's actually not abnormal behavior.
Right. Which, I get, but up until that point, I'm like, all right, I like where this is going. Because like I said, it was very much like The Hunt. And for people like myself and you that are like, oh, everyone's just fucking stupid and no one really gives a shit, and they're all the fucking same, and they're just ruining it for normal people that are like objective. I'm like, wow, this is completely the opposite of American Horror Story and what it usually does. And I'm like, wow, all right, I'm into it. And then they're like, ugh. I'm like, oh, here we go. I was like, no, you fucking suckered me in.
I did think it was interesting. You know who it was who had their arm chopped off, right?
Oh,
that's Chaz Bono.
Oh, really? Oh, the convenience store guy. Huh.
Yeah, that's Cher's daughter. Well, Cher's son.
Whatever they are now, however they identify.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
There's some funny Easter eggs in there, like the Rick Springfield thing, everything else.
I mean, Zach Ward, Scott Farkas. I'm like, fuck yeah, all right. I like him.
I mean, I have to say, like, the things I love, I think the acting is really good. Sarah Paulson drives me fucking crazy in almost everything she does. Her like weird non-lisp lisp, like, that I think is forced, always makes her like just seem like a crybaby. I do love the part in the season where she kind of like lets go of her fears at the beginning, but of course it comes back around and you hate her again. But it's funny though, I still stand by, like, the first time I watched it, I basically felt like how Dom did, like, all these writers, people are doing whatever, too many twists and turns. But the second time watching it, I do feel like it's a little more cohesive and funny. And maybe that's because I've had a few years now since I watched it and have seen how people also in the times you see people have acted since everything politically had happened. Maybe me just watching it now is being like, oh, I wish somebody would murder a bunch of people like this, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was
not that I condone murder. I'm just it's just like maybe watching it now, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just even more tired of everyone now than I was back then.
Yeah. They're the gay guy married to the straight woman, the neighbors.
She's just she's a monster in everything she does. I feel like she's playing herself.
Yes.
Like that is the only character she plays.
And
that's the only character he plays too.
Yeah. And like I got a kick out of their characters.
Yeah.
Because like
the sombreros.
Just everything. You're like
when they show up at the door with the fucking sombreros.
And again, it's like it was doing such a good job of pointing out how fucking hypocritical people are, where you have these, whatever
the second,
side.
Like the Mexican gets killed, and then all of a sudden, and she's just like, "No, I'm one of you."
Yeah.
I'm a protester. I'm one of you. This is why. No, why do they hate me?
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
I don't understand.
It's like, that's exactly how people are. It's just all a bunch of weird virtue signaling so you can be part of the group.
You were one of them.
Yeah.
You're one of them until you fucking killed someone.
Yeah.
Who was Hispanic.
Yeah.
And now you might as well put on a red hat there, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And, again, like there's funny stuff in it like that. I'm like, all right, yeah. I'm on board. And then
I'm making manwiches.
Oh. Yeah.
There's so much, but this is funny. I think so. That's it too. I think the second time around, I was able to laugh at it because the first time I was just like, it was the first season of American Horror Story I watched, so I was just getting like mind anally raped every time,
right? Because
I don't want to say mind fucked because I understood what was going on. I felt like I was being assaulted at every episode.
Yeah.
So coming back to it a few years later, I was actually able to laugh at all the stuff that I was like either missing or just super annoyed by.
Right.
And kind of laughing at myself, like, why do you even get annoyed? Because we know how this ends up. It's fine. Like,
yeah. Well, like I said, up until like I don't know what episode it was, maybe 5 or 6. As soon as right after the neighbors in quotation marks get killed, like the neighbor's wife gets killed, and all that weird shit is like the beginning of when we start getting into the Rick Springfield episodes. Like up until that, I'm watching it and I'm like, holy shit.
What do you mean when they assassinate the neighbors?
Yeah.
Like the coffin and then the...
Yeah. And I'm like, holy fuck. Oobzilla is going to shit a brick because I'm actually enjoying this. Like, look, I get it. Yeah, man, I'm fucking into it. And then, of course, it shit the bed for me. But yeah, there's definitely some good stuff. Aside from a couple weird episodes and like the story just getting weird. I mean, again, if you step back, yeah, it all does make sense in the vein of like telling a story that's just like a long story, but it's just exploring different parts of different people and it all comes back around. But I wish it would have just been the one storyline. It could have ended in like, halfway through and had like a complete storyline with just everyone's fucking ridiculous. And,
totally. I mean, where it lost me in the first season was all of a sudden when the dude showed up like Huss Bucket sandstorm, heart attack, tripod. Like
Right. Yeah.
the fucking names he had for it was just too much.
Yeah.
Which the same thing, like I've read Helter Skelter, I've read all this stuff. Everybody had dumb fucking names.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Tex is a little better than fucking tripod. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, I think they were making fun of the current times. All in all, like it turns back around into what you probably don't want it to. But I do fully believe, especially after watching this the second time through, that it's just making fun of everybody involved.
Yeah.
And all the fucking people who are totally ridiculous. And I mean, despite Sarah Paulson like annoying me, actually, her as Nurse Ratchet in the
Yeah.
it was called Ratchet, right?
Maybe.
I think. But she was great. Great in that.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of the horror stories, she does annoy the shit out of me. But I have to say, her portrayal of someone like devastated by Trump winning, who had voted for a third party supporter, is about as dead on as you could possibly get.
Oh, yeah. Super accurate.
And I'll admit right now, I voted third party because I always vote for who I want.
Right.
But I didn't fucking cry when Trump won. I was just like, yeah, you guys are all fucking lemmings.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys ever just vote for the person you really identify with the most?
We're like, yeah, we're gonna
like this is what happens.
we're gonna vote for the person that doesn't give a shit about us, really, but they say a whole bunch of stuff that we want to hear. I'm like, well, that's your first fucking problem. Like, yeah. And it's just the same shit over and over again, and nothing ever changes. And then you just fight with the other person that voted for the other person, and you're like, meh. And they're laughing the whole way to the fucking bank. And, you know, we end up not using fucking coins because they're like, there's a coin shortage. Everyone must stop using coins. All these businesses are like, well, we can't take coins anymore. You have to have exact change. And the fucking banks
do you
are
not
like,
remember everyone getting on the news and telling everybody not to wear masks?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
Because they wouldn't do anything and to stop buying them all.
Yeah.
That didn't age well.
No. There's
none of it after that aged well.
None of it aged well. You know?
So, well, what's really funny is the chef, the woman who's married to Sarah Paulson. I don't know the actress's name, but if she doesn't live here, she has a second home here because I see her out all the time.
Right.
And it's been so hard for me to not like, well, yeah, I've just judged her as that character.
Yeah.
So she goes to my restaurant. She probably thinks I'm such an asshole because I'm always like, God, I mean, she's here. And she's probably lovely, but
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, she's a Hollywood elite, and there's very few that aren't like the people that were in this season.
Think she's Hollywood elite if you look at her.
I mean, you know, it was probably an accurate depiction of who she really is. I'm just convinced most people are like that are, you know, in that world. I'm saying if you had to bet Oobliette, your bet would you have a good chance to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she probably just thinks I'm rude, but it's fine.
God, her and that fucking rockabilly guy hate you. The one who wrote the fucking bad review.
Oh, yeah, but he's like faux rockabilly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not getting in we're not talking about Russ. Sorry.
But I will say this is out of the maybe the 5 seasons 12. I've watched. Yeah. This was one of the better ones, but
I think it's the best that I've seen, other than the alien, the
half one,
alien one.
Yeah.
Which I haven't even finished, but that one's still
right. And that's the problem.
I don't know. This might be my favorite. It's so fucking only because I think the topic. I think this is the one topic where American Horror Story can be over the top, have all these dumb storylines, all this fucking bullshit, but yet, to me, watching it now, not when I watched it as it came out, I actually believe all this shit could fucking totally happen.
Right. I will give you that this is the most ridiculous one. Like it's the most kind of slapsticky, silly, and like goofy one that you're kind of laughing a lot watching it. I'm like, oh, that's fucking ridiculous, but that's hilarious. With kind of still having like
and violent.
Yeah, and violent and like a serious undertone of what's going on. Where the other ones are like they're kind of more serious with the storylines and everything and the acting. But this one was just like, oh, this could be like a fucking scary movie type spoof type
totally.
season, which is definitely more amusing than a lot of the other ones where they're like, it's like funny kind of, but they're still riding that line with being serious. So it's not really, this one was just like, hey, we're just going to be kind of goofy.
I mean, this one is one step off from being a really fucked up sitcom. If they would have put some like tagline music for each person and really like done it up, it could have been really cool.
Yep. Some laugh tracks in there. Yeah.
Yeah, just gone all the way.
Yep. Which I probably
some of the most of the other ones
it.
are I would have too. I felt like it could have used that because some of the other seasons like Roanoke was fine but kind of boring. I tried to watch Hotel and I fucking love Lady Gaga, but like halfway through I was like, this is just really vain and
I think I got
flaccid.
2 seasons or 2 episodes and I was like, I can't.
Yeah. When the little kids show up, it was just kind of boring.
Yeah. But that's the fucking problem
I liked
with American Horror Story. It's always like you can totally pick a handful of good things out and you're like, man, it would have been good if it just did or stayed this course or did this or kept on going, but they don't. And there's always
Carnival.
I like parts of it, but again, that's my issue with everything. It's like I'll like
but
half
of it. At the same
time,
if you sat and watched an 8 or 9 hour long movie,
right?
I mean, you're not gonna like the whole fucking thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, correct. And that's the other thing. For me, I think they get too long, like too many episodes. If you want to have like 6 episodes, 7 episodes, and kind of condense the story, I'd probably enjoy it more because it'd force them to kind of be a little bit more thorough and like, all right, let's just get this fucking tight. But
yeah, I think for ones that are an hour long, 8 is kind of the limit. Yeah. And they go to like 13, don't they?
They do something where I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's another episode? Fuck.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So, I don't know. You got anything else to say about this season of American Horror Story?
The little kid was annoying.
Yeah.
And I need to actually trace back when Carrie Fisher died because I do think the episode with the whole like butt fucking the dude to fuck the sister may have been what killed Carrie Fisher.
Maybe.
I mean, the drugs probably obviously killed her.
They might have helped, but
you may have not taken them without watching that and been like, oh, what is she doing?
Yeah. Or taking
I do have to say, I do like her daughter. She's almost always the same deadpan character.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I guess after watching some of these, her personal feed started showing up on my social media and she's like, has a kid and I think she just had a kid. Yeah. Anyways, they're super cute and bubbly. For some reason, she always plays these deadpan dark characters, but
very
for some reason, I think she's secretly dark.
Oh, probably.
I feel like I might like her.
Yeah.
I mean, with a mom like Carrie Fisher, who was just fucking awesome, but crazy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. There's probably lots of stuff there. There has to be a kid in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah. And her mom had a very open, like, kind of alcohol and drug problem and was very open about her.
Yeah. 100%.
What she wanted to do. Yeah.
That's probably
but
really
her. I feel like I like her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do like watching it. The American Horror Story I don't know if you watched the 80s slasher one.
I didn't. I don't believe so. What was it, 1984 or something?
That's actually one of that one was was fun, but again, too long.
Yeah.
But her character makes it worth watching.
Right.
It's about the son of Sam.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did watch that one.
It was interesting.
Probably won't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the newest season has Kim Kardashian, so it better be campy. Because if it's not campy, I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't even want to be anywhere near that new season.
I'll watch it and let you know.
Yeah, let me know. That could be a horror news right there.
Because it'll either be campy or they'll just like have to brutally murder her and no one will watch it. So
yeah, I mean, who fucking knows? I don't know. This simulation's all fucking weird, so who knows what's gonna happen?
I mean, I have aliens following me now.
I know. Exactly. Oh, all right. Let's
Candy killers. Next time you're out at a restaurant, if you notice a single man wearing sunglasses and eating inside and fake talking on his cell phone or engaging too much in weird ways, snap a picture and email it to us because I've had some
close encounters.
That last one was wearing a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
Me neither. And the one before, I don't even know what the fuck that was.
Yeah,
so.
But who knows? Fucking weirdos and aliens out there. Lizard people.
Yeah, the Canadian guy knows.
Yeah.
That one. That one Canadian prime minister knows all about it.
All about
the tall whites.
Yep.
The tall whites are at the gun range.
Oh, man. All right, let's rate this. Do you want me to go first?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is higher than I would normally give a American Horror Story season. A 1.5. 1.5 candy corns. Because that's how much I despise. And that's mostly for Rick Springfield and sombreros and manwiches. And yeah.
I'm making you a manwich. It's not a lisp. It's like a thing she does.
It's something. Yeah, it's weird.
I'm making you a manwich.
Like an overbite, but not. I don't know. There's.
You know what it is? It's thespian.
Yes, you know what it is.
She grew up in theater. That's what it is.
It's a lizard speak.
But it's now overcorrected as like a manwich.
Yeah.
Hi, manwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Yeah. So 1.5 for me.
Ivy. You're fucking my wife, Ivy. And she's kind of a whisper talker, which I hate.
How many candy corns you giving this?
I'm actually going to give it 3.
Okay.
I am very surprised at saying that, but I have to say I enjoyed it the second time around.
Right. I mean, it's
the
not
first time around. I would have given it like not even 1, maybe 1. Like I was so and mentally fatigued with it, and like done with every character in it. But maybe just wait like 4 years, 5 years,
watch it
again,
and
it might have a different effect.
Maybe.
I mean, don't. No one needs to actually do that. But maybe you do it. And what was weird, it actually kind of like had a positive, like, I don't know. It made me feel better about life. I was happy about it. I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, people probably actually did this after that.
Probably.
And when I watched it, I was just like really angry about everything. And now I'm just don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely enjoyed it.
I laughed more.
Yeah. I enjoyed it more than I ever thought I would. But again, I think that probably had to do with just how silly it was and campy, and they played it up. And I'm like, whereas the other ones are like really trying to play it straight with like a little bit of camp. We're going to be
weird.
Yeah. And I appreciate things being silly and campy. Like if they go for it, if you're just going for it, I can appreciate that more than like, oh, I want to be brooding and weird and serious, but with like a little bit of lighthearted stuff in it. I'm like, ugh. And then plus with all the fucking 8 storylines that take 4 episodes to get back to
30 storylines.
Yeah, to get back to the episode
So
you
many.
left on, and I'm like, oh, I just don't have the fucking time for this. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, well, yeah, I mean, if anyone is into the American Horror Story series, I think this one is. I think it's worth checking out, especially if you're more of the objective point of view. Then you might appreciate it more. Otherwise, if you're one way or the other, you'll probably just be more mad and be like, yeah, and it will just reinforce your already ridiculous view on the world and people. But I don't think I'll ever be watching this again.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, if in 5 years you want to revisit, maybe you'll like it.
Maybe. Well, next time Dom's on, we'll ask him about it. I'll be curious to hear what he has to say.
If he watches it.
He seemed really pretty adamant.
Right.
So he's probably I'll text him and we'll be like, so you start American Horror Story yet? But I don't know. Anything else to say before we get out of here, Oobliette?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for sitting through this again with us and hearing about your favorite television series, American Horror Story. Join us next time for who knows what.
Which will not be about
Definitely not be about American Horror Story. Anyway, thanks everybody. We'll see you fuckers next time.
Yeah.
Give me
Bye,
some sugar,
bitches.
baby. Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
looks that big old storm right square in the eye and he says, "Get away from her, you bitch!"
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Your move, creep.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Want some candy?